Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party and invited everyone that you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me. And the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they can send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. Get off his fucking neck. Let me shoot you. He can't fucking breathe. So let me shoot you. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Friday, here's the mind killer. You're tuned into the only podcast you need, the I'm No Joe Show. I am your quiz-ass Hatterack, the meter. The meter does many things if you're Fremen. Tonight, as like most nights, I have got a Muad'Dib here with me to get into all the shit talking, the fight announcements, the fuckery, and all the fun that has fallen down the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all of that, though, first and foremost, how you doing over there, brother?
Doing pretty fucking good. Can't complain, man. The grow's going good, life's going good, tired as fuck, but I mean, we managed to pull this off, right?
Right.
You got a little sick this week. Life's
Yeah.
kicking our ass a bit, but we are saying fuck it. We're
Yep.
still talking shit about some shitty fucking fights. Let's go.
Right. Yeah, no, I was down yesterday. TJ's down tonight. It's been a rough week all around, but we do what we can when we can. So that being said, start things off the way we like to around here with a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, rumor confirmations, interesting things that have fallen down the MMA news wire since we talked to you folks last. Uh, First and foremost, starting with this afternoon's poorly fucking promoted Bellator 302 live from Belfast. Bellator, yes, they're still actually a company even within the PFL umbrella. Bellator themselves have actually signed a new broadcast deal because the championship series of Bellator is going to continue now, separate from Bellator for at least another year. They have signed an exclusive deal. They will now be broadcast on Max, I say with air quotes. It's basically HBO Max. They are one of the few not supposed to be jumping into the giant sports combat sports conglomerate broadcast channel that's trying to be put together with ESPN Plus and all those guys later on this year. So they may in fact be using this as a way to keep themselves both in the ESPN deal with the PFL side and out of the ESPN deal with this Bellator broadcasting on Max. Very interesting tactic. Interested to see how that goes. Next one we've got here actually pertains to this weekend's card. One of the fights that was originally going to be going on tomorrow for the UFC and has actually been scratched last minute. Stephanie Luciano officially flew from Brazil to Las Vegas, and then once she got to Las Vegas, started feeling ill, saw the doctor, and was diagnosed with dengue fever. So her fight has officially been pulled. I don't know that there has ever been a UFC fighter pulled from a fight for dengue fever before. I think this might be a first. Obviously, we hope that she's okay and everything comes out all right, but holy shit, that's not exactly what you expect to see when you open your MMA news feed this morning. Um, Stepping in to save the day here on just a couple weeks notice for the April 6th Apex card UFC Vegas 90. We talked about it last week. Marvin Vettori is out, undisclosed reasons, I say with air quotes. So Brendan Allen was kind of left hanging. Well, not anymore, because the action man has stepped up to fill in on short notice. Chris Curtis will fight Brendan Allen for the main event in 2 weeks from now, the pre-UFC 300 card, if you will. I was down for the Vettori versus Allen fight. I think this might even be a better matchup. I really do. I think Vettori, especially with this going on now, he seems like he's been really banged up lately. He can take a little bit of time off now and actually properly fucking heal. Let Chris Curtis step in. I think Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen for a main event 5 rounds could be a whole lot of fucking fun. Um, Pushing forward, we got an announcement this week that I don't know that anyone in the MMA world saw coming, period. A pair of them actually for UFC 301 going down May 4th in Rio de Janeiro. One of them I actually heard a couple of different rumors about and was talking in our group chat when I heard multiple different sources talking about the same rumor. And within like 4 hours of us talking about it in the group chat, it was officially confirmed. But we'll get to that one in just a second. The weird part that they kind of honey dicked us with was the one that I was talking about that nobody really saw coming here. Uh, Alexandre Pantoja will officially be defending his belt in Rio against number 14 ranked Steve Ursig. Kind of out of nowhere, coming off of his performance just not that long ago, Steve Ursig has officially cemented himself a title shot in Rio. I don't know that anyone saw this coming, but this could be very, very interesting. Steve Usyk is just kind of new, so we really just don't have a lot to go on right now, but there's got to be
Yeah,
something there for the UFC to be just
the
throwing him into the
kid's look
title shot.
great, but he's had 3 fights.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when have they done that with such a short amount of time? Even the fucking guys that come over from other divisions, from other fucking companies, from other sports, usually have to have 3 or 4 fights. Fucking even Poetan had to have what, 4 or 5 fights before he got to a fucking title shot. He was a challenger coming in specifically for the champion. They still made him do 4 goddamn fights. Now Usyk's got it on 3.
And the other thing that bothers me about it is like he hasn't even beaten somebody like Tim Elliott, who's outside
Anybody.
of the top 10. And like, what? I mean, I just, what the fuck's going on here? I like the kid. Yeah, I like him a lot. A lot of
I,
potential.
I'm
It'd
here
be
for it. I
funny
don't
as
like Alex
shit if he
Pants.
wins and becomes the champion. Huh? I mean, holy shit, would that be a moment? But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think it's more exciting, I guess, because it's so interesting, right? We don't know
Yeah.
what's going to
We got
happen.
no
Even if the
idea.
kid maybe is a little green, it's more exciting than the Mokaev shit because we know that kid needs to work up to
Yeah.
it a little bit more. And
He still needs
Roy
some work,
Vall
yeah.
doesn't deserve a fucking rematch against his
Not
ass.
real,
So
no.
it's a lot more exciting, at least, even though it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, I saw that and I was like, wait, what? Uh, okay. UFC is gonna UFC, so they've officially booked Usyk versus Alex Pants, and I'm not shy about the fact that I'm petty and I don't like Alex Pants, and I hope he fucking loses at home to the guy that nobody fucking saw coming. And Steve Usyk comes back to America with that fucking belt wrapped around his waist, and we get to hear them and they usher him out of the stadium covered because they're throwing shit. I would love it. I'm a petty asshole, but I would love that. But the other one, the other half of the 301 announcement, the one that I heard rumors about before it was officially confirmed, and then we heard it confirmed. He's coming back, folks. The King of Rio returns in Rio. Jose Aldo is officially unretiring and coming back to the UFC and staying at 135 pounds and taking on Jonathan Martinez in his return to the UFC fight. If they're going to bring somebody like Jose back, which I agree he should not have left when he did the way he did, bringing him back in Rio is absolutely the best fucking possible way to do that. And on a pay per view, no less, even if they put it on the prelims, which I really fucking hope they do not. But even if for some reason they did put it on the prelims, that would still blow the fucking roof off the joint when Jose unretires in Rio on a fucking pay per view. It's going to be a spectacular fucking fight. I think it's a good matchup. If he's going to stay at 35, I think Martinez is a good test for him coming back to see if he's really been staying in shape or if he really just kind of retired and then sat on the couch for a couple of months. I have a feeling he's going to run through Martinez because Jose has always pretty much been Jose. And even at 35, he looked real fucking good in all of his fights. So I'm fucking here for it. It's definitely, I won't say it will make up for losing Jamal Hill versus Alex, but it's a damn good start. As long as they throw something else in there juicy between now and 301, I think it'll balance out okay because they built a fairly decent card around that. So it doesn't make 30 or 300 any better, doesn't make 301 much worse, but interesting to see all the way around. I'm here for it. I think Jose still got some gas in the fucking tank, and I think if they match make for him properly now, I think he can still have a real good fucking run here before he actually completely calls it a day. Um, that being said, we did get the official confirmation that May 11th will be UFC St. Louis. Originally, tickets were supposed to go on sale this morning, but they this morning announced that ticket sales have officially been pushed back until April 5th. So let me state this for the folks who didn't grasp onto that. There is a card taking place in St. Louis, Missouri on May 11th. The tickets for this May 11th event don't go on sale until April 5th, literally 1 month and 6 days from the time the tickets go on sale until the event happens. I don't remember the last time the UFC left a window this short. When we went to Kansas City last April, we had our tickets almost 6 months in advance, and we knew at that point the majority of what the card was going to be, minus a few late additions and subtractions here and there. It's March 23rd right now. 22nd, I think. Something. But we're literally less than 6 weeks from this card taking place. They just today, this afternoon, announced 3 of the fights for that card. Tickets will be on sale literally 4.5 weeks from the time they go on sale till the event. This is kind of fucking crazy, but the fights that they're giving us for UFC St. Louis as of right now: Tisha Torres versus Tabitha Ricci. Good fight. Not the greatest, but good fight. Matt Frivola versus Michael Johnson. Good fight. Not a great fight. And then Jake Hadley versus Charles Johnson. Not a great lineup. And still, as of going live this evening, no main event, no co-main event announced for this card. That is now, 5.5 weeks out. I would very much like to try to go. I know Slowbake would very much like to try and go with Vindog the Booty Hog, but if they don't even tell us what the fuck is going to be on this card until a couple of weeks before the tickets even go on sale, let alone only give us a couple weeks to find out how much these tickets are going to be and then try and make plans around it, man, this is a narrow window. This is a hell of a squeeze, even for the UFC, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of the UFC St. Louis card unfolds in the next couple of weeks, because they're literally going to have to unload this entire card in the next couple of weeks, because tickets go on sale in 2 weeks now. Supposed to go today, but now they're in 2 weeks. So we'll see. Very interesting. I would like
Makes me
to.
curious. Want to do some deep diving on what fighters are kind of available right now, haven't fought in a little minute,
Right.
and see what they could potentially match up. Because off the top of my dome, I can't think of anything decent, and that's what worries me as well. Because it never been to St. Louis. Me personally, Vincent has,
Nice.
but good fuck, man, that'd be a fun ass time for us all to get to meet up again. It's not just about the fights, but we do need some good shit to grab. You're paying a lot of money, even if
That's what
the
I was gonna
tickets are
say.
decent. It's still always a
I
lot
can't
of
see
money.
tickets being less than Kansas City was, and we paid $1.50 a pop for Kansas City for decent but not the great seats. Like, I saw some of the tickets for Kansas City in the nosebleeds behind where we were, going for upwards of $200 when it came actual time to get to the event happening. So I'm a scared Scoob. I'm scared Scoob.
Keeping the
I'm still gonna
fingers
watch for it, but
crossed.
yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye on St. Louis as it gets closer. But the following week, uh, after St. Louis, they will be back in Vegas, back at the Apex May 18th. They gave us a pair of announcements for that Apex card, which are pretty fucking interesting. The first one, Angela Hill versus Luana Pinheiro. They are trying to push Luana, you can tell, and giving her to Angela Hill. They're going to push her even harder if she beats Angie, even if it's a decision, like it probably will be. But the other one, the one that I am absolutely fucking excited for on that May 18th card, Tim Elliott versus Tatsuro Taira. This is absolutely the toughest test that Tatsuro has faced. And Tim Elliott, like we were just talking about, is one of those dudes that stays right around the fucking top. He is never an easy fucking fight. He is always entertaining to fucking watch. And Tatsuro is on his way up. If he can get past Elliott, they're going to strap the fucking rockets to him, man. If he can't, we'll know exactly where he needs to fucking work. And Tim Elliott's going to get himself a nice bonus check for shutting down another fucking newbie like he's been doing quite a bit lately. So either way, I'm here for that fucking fight, no matter how it fucking shakes loose. I think it's going to be a good one, and I think it's going to be very telling of how both of those gentlemen move forward in their careers. Couple of interesting ones to close out the news here. The first one, it's not officially confirmed, but we found out unofficially through a conversation, uh, at least potentially one of the reasons why the UFC has had such a hard time booking
Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler for the last 2 fucking years now almost. Turns out Conor McGregor only has 2 fights left on his UFC contract and has not stated any interest in renegotiating or re-signing. He's actually talked about potentially testing free agency, not necessarily to go and compete in MMA against someone else or in another organization, but predominantly because he and Nate Diaz are going to do their boxing trilogy and make all the money themselves without the UFC being involved. And potentially the same thing with Poirier and several other fighters. Conor McGregor could very well just box from here on out and never actually compete in MMA again once he's out of his UFC contract. But now that we know he's only got 2 fights left on it, it makes a little more sense why the UFC is playing such hardball with him, not letting him get the USADA exemption and getting him in on 300, which would have been fucking spectacular for everyone involved. Conor said he wants to fight twice in 2024 and that they're supposedly locking down the quote unquote official date for this summer for the announcement that both he and Michael Chandler once again have said is signed, which never has been signed yet. So I still don't fucking believe it, but it makes a little more sense why the UFC is being so fucking hard-nosed and why they're basically insisting on he fight Michael Chandler, because if he wins, they can try and talk him into that title shot, which will automatically add a potential new contract extension for the title championship clause. If he loses, well, then he doesn't have as much value and they can just make as much money as they can off him on that last fight and then send him off the box as a tainted or a tarnished product, if you will. But Conor McGregor still has a ton of value to his name. So they're not going to let him just walk out the door easily, let alone with 2 fights left on his contract. They're going to try and push him nose to the fucking wall and make him resign. So this means that there is a genuine chance we really might not see Conor at all this year if this is part of them playing contract negotiation hardball, because as he has demonstrated and obviously will continue to, he's not hurting for money. He doesn't need to fight. He wants to fight, but he doesn't need to fight. The UFC needs the Conor McGregor eyes that he brings. He doesn't need them. So it's going to be interesting to see how these contract negotiations play out now that we know that's what's happening. The next one here, let me pull this up because I want to make sure I quote this correctly. One second. I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. Okay. We got confirmation this week that Walt Harris has officially been suspended for 4 years, which is essentially the end of his career. Walt Harris tested positive for, I'm going to run this list down. That's why I wanted to pull this up because I don't want to mistake any of these. Drostanolone, a M3 metabolite, 3A hydroxy, 2A methyl, 5A andronostone 17-ON, exogenous testosterone. They retested him, blood and urine, and then he tested for a different substance, anastrolazone, that he previously did not test positive for. So not only did he test positive for multiple things in the first test, but when they retested him, he tested positive for all of those and a different thing. No excuses given. There's not much of an excuse you can make for that, though. It's clear that Walt knew he was losing a step and he was juicing, and he wasn't even juicing smart. And I believe that's the 3rd time they've caught him. And at his age, at heavyweight, 4 years off at this point essentially is the end of his career. It's very slim to nil chance he will be able to make a comeback in 2029. But we will see. It's always sad to see shit like this happening to guys on the end of their run, but it's even harder with Walt when you know all the shit that he's been through trying to stay on this run. So hopefully he gets something else going and he gets things worked out. But man, that sucks. That being said, the last thing I've got here is probably the biggest news that has come in combat sports in the last 15 years or so. And it basically happened with a fizzle. It's basically slid under the rug already at this point, despite how fucking serious and unimpactful it actually ended up being. Over the course of this week, the UFC settled not one, but both of the class action lawsuits that were filed against them for a combined total of $335 million with zero contractual changes to be made. The UFC literally bought their freedom. What could have been one of the most impactful decisions in the combat sports world, period, with potential contract litigations and freeing up of some of these acknowledged, criminal fucking practices that they've been actively participating in while making UFC what it is. They basically just got away with every fucking bit of it by paying out less than what they make in 2 months of operation. Somebody did the math. It wasn't me. Somebody way smarter than me did the math earlier this afternoon. In approximately 7 weeks of operation at the UFC, given the last 2 years average income or profit rather for the company, for TKO, they will make enough to pay off this lawsuit before we see UFC 300 from right now. So it essentially cost them nothing. And now they don't have to change a single fucking thing that they do. Their contracts can stay horrible. They can keep all the shady backroom bullshit. They can buy and sell and bully their way across the fucking markets as much as they want. There is no more consequence. And since these 2 lawsuits had been filed, the UFC has actively changed all of their new contracts with a new clause that stipulates anyone signing with the UFC can now never participate in a class action lawsuit against them. So the UFC will never have to worry about this happening again, because everyone that could have done this signed away their rights to it. Everyone that was involved in this is going to settle for, I think, what they broke it down to, because it's going to be prorated. The lawyers, I believe they said, took 43%. So the total settlement, I believe, works out to the tune of $136 million, which will be prorated, which means the biggest stars will get the biggest chunks of money. So on a conservative estimate, the 1,150 people in the Kung Lee lawsuit that aren't Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey and Rampage Jackson and the big name stars, the regular fighters who were involved in this, who this was actually supposed to benefit, will approximately make about $14,000 each. So they just got fucked again by the UFC. And in the process, the UFC legally solidified their right to be a monopoly scumbag operation, because now no one else can call them into question for it. That fucking sucks. But I'm really curious, because now the only essential avenue left, unless a serious group of acknowledged name recognition fighters are willing to actually stop talking about it and step forward and make an actual fighters union, the only other hope that any of these fighters have to have a real future, despite the UFC running things, is if the Ali Act gets converted or starts to cross cover, gets allowed to cross cover rather, MMA, which as of right now, it does not. This is a big fucking boot on the neck of MMA as a whole, because this means not only does the UFC get to keep being as shady and shitty as they do, that means that PFL and Bellator and One and Ryzen and Octagon and LFA and all of the other organizations can be shittier than that, because then they can say, hey, look what the UFC does. We can't be that bad. That sucks. But that's what I got for news. You got anything over there I might have missed, brother?
Nope, nothing on my end.
All right. Well, that is what we've got for news and recent events this week, though dreary as we may have ended. But that will bring us to this weekend's combat sports menu. That's right. I'm trying to remember to do it earlier in the show. There is lots of combat sports going on this weekend. I did not say there is lots of good combat sports. I said there is lots of combat sports going on this weekend. And I will tell you more about it than some of these promotions have been doing because I didn't even realize until halfway through the fucking event when I turned it on that Bellator 302 from Belfast took place this afternoon. They started at noon on a Friday and didn't even promote it. So the amount of posts of other people I have seen, major MMA fans that had no fucking clue that was going on today, is just unacceptable. So going forward for this weekend, we'll give you a little heads up of what you can look forward to. So starting in just half an hour at midnight Eastern, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, Ryzen Landmark 9 is kicking off. Again, this is one of those the average casual might know a name or two. The hardcores will know a couple names, but this is Ryzen, so it's wink, wink, nudge, nudge fighting. So even if you don't know some of them, they'll be more performance than a lot of AEW shows, I guess would be a good comparison in this situation. But there is something going on late night if you need some Friday night punchy kicky. Kicking off at noon tomorrow Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, Octagon 55 from over in Stuttgart, Germany. This is another one of those casuals are going to know a name or two. Hardcores are going to know most of this roster. And again, this is one of those UFC feeder organizations. So even if you don't know them, if they do good this weekend, you might see them in the UFC soon enough. Reason enough to watch, in my opinion. Kicking off tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, LFA 179 from down in Rio de Janeiro. This is another one. The casuals will probably know about half this card. The hardcores will know most of this card. There is two belts on the line. No, one belt on the line. Excuse me. I thought there was two. Just one belt on the line. Welterweight strap on the line down in Rio. Brazilian versus Brazilian in Brazil. Going to be a fun card to watch tomorrow afternoon if you need something to get you going. Then kicking off, thank the MMA gods, at a fucking normal time once again. Prelims starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, UFC Vegas. We are back in the Apex, Namajunas versus Ribas. So there is plenty to go around. That being said, if you watch combat sports as hardcore and as rabidly as some of us do, inadvertently you start to know what you like when it comes on, how to watch it, and you start to develop a set of blinders almost into getting your favorite kind of content, and that sucks because you miss out on quite a bit. You start to lose the forest for the trees, as it were. Luckily for us old heads, we have ourselves a bona fide young person here on the show that can ever so elegantly just finger the MMA pulse and keep us abreast of all the names that are names before they are actually names in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Hell yeah, appreciate you, brother. So, like I always do, I'm starting out with the fucking cans. Sad TJ can't be here with us. I would love to hear what his fucking cans and contenders are. It's always a good time, the back and forth we have with him, because he doesn't always see my contenders as contenders, you know. But I feel like this week the ones that I have, he would probably agree with as well for once. But hope the brother's doing well resting him. Fucking cans this week, easy as fuck. Mo Usman, man, Muhammad Usman is an absolute fucking can. He's won since he got in the UFC, but just decisions. We don't want to see wall versus slap fights. So you got a lucky shot against Zach Pauga to win that damn Ultimate Fighter finale, and then he's just one fucking boring ass decision since then. Doesn't really have any fighting skill or real talent. He's the exact opposite of his fucking brother Kamaru Usman. So you throwing him in the fucking can. Got another heavyweight I'm throwing in the can, Carl Williams. Feel like he's gonna get laid the fuck out this weekend. Dude doesn't have a lot of skill either, especially at heavyweight. We just don't need fat guys that can't really move around and don't have a lot of punching power. That's just not fucking entertaining. This isn't fucking WWE. We don't need fat guys laying on each other. You want to see guys knocking each other out. I got AJ Dobson in the fucking can as well. He's won one fight since he got in the UFC. Lost a couple. Don't feel like he's going to do too hot this weekend either. Fighting Shabazian. I still think Shabazian, being as young as he is, even if he's been on a little rough streak, that kid still has a hell of a lot of fucking potential in him. He's finished almost every single win that he's had. So AJ Dobson's in trouble. You throw him in the can because he'll be 1-3 after this weekend. Yeah, I got the fucking Ultimate Fighter winners from last season here. Well, one of them's a winner. Cody Gibson fucking lost, and they still gave this motherfucker another shot. Kurt Hollabaugh won. Both these dudes were absolute fucking cans the first time around. Kurt Hollabaugh lost his 3 fights he had in the UFC before he got cut. Fucking Cody Gibson was 1-4. I mean, the best thing I can say is the dudes go out there, those 2 guys go out there and fight. They get their asses beat, but they do try to fight. So there's potential. You know, I don't like, I'm throwing the fight as a whole, Miles Johns versus Cody Gibson, because Miles Johns is kind of a boring fighter, even though he's won some fights more than he's lost in the UFC. It's just, that fight to me is not going to be entertaining, and I'm not looking forward to it whatsoever. And Kurt Hollabaugh is just, neither one of the dudes fucking deserve a second chance. They're old as shit too. Just that whole fucking season last year was just awful. Yeah, I got to throw Jarnio Aarons in the fucking can. I think this kid just is looked pretty bad. He lost his first couple of fights. I don't think he's got a ton of fucking potential, even though he has some finishes in his career. He's still young. Maybe he can turn it around. I just don't see it. And then another fight I'm throwing in there, Ricardo Ramos versus Julian Erosa. I guess it could be a fun fight because the dudes do have a lot of finishing potential, but as of late, neither one of them have been too fucking exciting. They haven't been winning fights, and there's no stakes to it. It's just one of those throwaway fucking prelim fights. I do have the brothers coin Schrodinger contender. So for my contender this weekend, it's Rose Namajunas. I don't have any faith in hell that she is going to win this fight, and I was talking to Vincent about it yesterday, and then on our podcast this morning, man. Just, I'm not here for that fight. There's some fights on the main card of this card I'm more excited. Like, I think this week's better than last week. At least there's that, even though it's still kind of a hangover. But there's some fights I'm excited for. The fucking last one, I'm just like, man, why? I just don't care. Ever since Rose had that fight against Carla, it's just been, what the fuck? You know, the fight against Manon Fiorot, even though she said she hurt her hand, she did, right? To like break her hand. It's just bad. It again didn't seem like she wants to fight anymore. Then where's the fire? The fact that she has like taken Trevor Whitman out of the picture, he's not going to be in her corner again. It's just, you know, I don't want to talk too much shit, but the pedo situation with fucking Pat Barry, I mean, I just hate it. I hate it every time. That's why I feel like she's going downhill as well. We all fucking know that dude is a fucking pedo. He started training her when she was a little girl and shit, and then turned into what it turned into. I can't, yeah. I've always hated that fucking situation. And it's not just because, you wish she was with somebody else, but, that's bad. This is bad. So she's on the fence, man. I'm not excited for the fight. Don't care about it. She's fighting Amanda Ribas. So even if she gets the win, what does it fucking really do for her? She'll still be behind Macy Barber in the flyweight division. That's shit. Like, that's how I look at that. You're still far off. And then you got Grasso and Valentina probably fighting in September at the fucking Sphere. So her ass on media day saying, "Oh, I'm gonna try to get that flyweight title this year." My ass, sweetie, just keep dreaming. You better fight this time. Where's the thug? Like that's the other thing I'm thinking. You fucking nickname, man, pull it out. So yeah, well, I'm sure even TJ would fucking agree at this point. She's just getting, you gotta be the contender because she's on the fence, man. You lose to Amanda Ribas, what's the point? Retire. I just, she's trying to get money. Yeah, right. You just add that paycheck as much as you can until you can't really physically fight anymore. So my contenders, I got a good few of them. Fernando Padilla versus Luis Pujello. That whole fight entirely, I'm excited as fuck for. Both of those kids have a hell of a lot of knockout power, and I think they're going to throw it down, and it's going to be a fun ass fucking fight. I got Mick Parkin. He's the heavyweight that I'm excited about on this card, along with Justin Toffman. I feel like these guys have the opportunity to go out there and get a finish. Mick Parkin has gotten decision wins since he came off the Contender Series, but I got a good feeling about it this weekend. You know, he's fucking fighting Muhammad Usman. I just feel like he's going to go out there and easily fucking dominate that fight. And it's the same for Justin Taffa. He's fighting Carl Williams. His younger brother was supposed to fight Carl Williams. They did the old swaparooski. Justin was fucking hurt, couldn't fight Marcus Ruggiero, so fucking Junior steps up, loses the fight, but he's still a tough motherfucker for doing that. And then they do the brother swap again. It's good shit. I'm excited for those heavyweights, and Mick Parkin's a young kid and also undefeated. So obviously he's going to shoot himself up. He keeps winning in that heavyweight division, and especially getting the finishes. They need some excitement in that fucking division. Of course, you got Justin Toffee. He's already on a 3-fight winning streak, all of them first round knockouts. So he goes out and fucking gets another one. He's shooting himself up into the fucking rankings and getting a nice fight after that fact. I got Shabazian. I mentioned it earlier. Dude's still 26 years old. He's young as shit. Finished 11 of his 12 fucking wins. Even if he's 1-4 in his last 5, I still feel like he's got a hell of a lot of potential. This is an easy bounce back fight for him, in my opinion, against AJ Dobson. You go out there, get you a nice fucking finish. It's in the apex. That's the only problem. You know, it's not really, a good spotlight. Should have thrown him on fucking next weekend's card, because at least that's in a fucking arena. You got crowd. They're going to Atlantic City, but I still feel like Shabazian's a contender. He's going to climb his way back up. Dude's still young as hell. That's the biggest thing. If he can stay healthy, 26 years old, you got the whole world ahead of you to fucking keep building up. And then I got the last thing here. Fucking fight I'm the most excited for on this card. Whole reason I'm going to watch the fucking card entirely. I'm going to be sitting here foaming at the mouth waiting for this bantamweight fight. They finally did it. I talk about it all the time, especially because I have this fucking segment. Fucking pin prospects against each other and see which one comes out on top. That is exactly how you build a real star. You gotta figure out what you fucking have when you get a couple of nice young pieces. And then with the one young one, I gotta build him. Okay, he didn't do so well against that guy. That guy's good. Okay, he's a good star. We'll shoot him to the moon. This kid will slow roll him back so that we don't lose him because he's still young and got potential, right? But UFC doesn't do that shit a lot. Well, they're finally doing something fun. Cameron Saman versus fucking Peyton Talbot. I'm more excited for Talbot. I do think he's a little green, but he's shown he can work through adversity. The kid is so talented and intelligent. In his fucking debut, he was getting worked over in the first round. Gets taken down, gets dominated, held down on the ground the entire first round. I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, what the fuck? Because, back last year when he had his debut, I had talked about him. Oh, look out for this kid, right? I'm like, oh, my dumb ass. Did I say look out for this kid? And he shows clearly he's an amazing striker, but he can't grapple worth a dick. He can't even get the fuck up. Oh, man, this isn't a good look. and he sits on the stool for 60 seconds. Gets a little talking to from his coaches, and it's like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or LeBron James. He just learns on the fly. He fucking learns how to grapple in the second and third round, starts winning, getting back into the fight, and winds up taking Aguirre down when he goes for a takedown in the third round and fucking beats the shit out of him, gets the finish. Made me look completely fine. The kid learned on the fly in a minute. He learned how to fucking grapple, learned how to not get taken down, not get held down, learn how to get a takedown himself, reversal, and then beat that ass and get the finish. Wow, good shit. That's what you want to do. Cameron Saman's tough as fucking hell, though. That kid, amazing fucking knockout power for the bantamweight division. This is going to be a striking fight. It says fight of the night written all over it. These two young kids are going to fucking destroy each other one way or another. Whether they get a fucking finish or they go the distance, this is going to be a fun-ass fight, and I'm excited as fuck for it. Whoever wins is definitely getting pushed up a good bit. They're not getting a ranked fighter next, probably, but they're really going to get pushed by the UFC at that point because this is going to be an exciting fucking fight. The kid that loses still got a hell of a lot of potential. They're both so fucking young. Cameron Saman's 23, turning 24 this December, and Talbot's 25. They both have so much fucking time ahead of them, so that's the greatest thing for this. Whoever fucking loses still has the bounce back. You're still going to see the other kid in the future, so I had to finish off with the best shit because both of these kids are contenders to look out forward to in the future. Whoever loses this fight still probably going to throw down and look pretty fucking impressive this weekend, look like a badass warrior, and you're going to want to see him again in the future. I would love to fucking hear what you got, brother. Obviously, we don't have TJ, but I'm sure he would agree with my fucking contender.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've got a couple here. I've got a contender, and I have a contender, and all three of them are fights. So we'll start with the bad end here with the cans. Miles John and Cody Gibson. Throw that whole goddamn fight away. There's no reason to make that fight at all. That it doesn't do anything for either one of them. Cody Gibson isn't going to make any quote unquote name if he does get past Miles Johns, and Miles Johns is supposed to lay out Cody Gibson because he's a fucking can on an undeserved extra fucking chance. This fight doesn't make any goddamn sense, and we don't fucking need it.
Yeah, especially Cody Gibson fucking lost on the Ultimate Fighter last year. That was complete shit. You could have thrown out the goddamn window, and he still gets the second chance.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, we don't need that fight at all. I'm not thrilled about the Holloway fight, but at least it's got better interest for me than this one does. But flip it over to the other side, the contender fight that I am extremely excited about on this card. Billy Q versus Yusuf Zalal. Billy Q has been chomping at the bit to get back in there. And Yusuf Zalal is another one of those young kids that is trying to chop his way to the top. And Billy Q still has a bit of a name for himself here. So if Yusuf can get in there and do some work against Billy Q, it could actually get him some serious benefit. And on the other side of that, if Billy Q comes out and shuts Zalal down, he's got that steam back underneath him and he's shooting back up again. And he definitely wants that. If you see his social media, you know how bad he wants to get back at it. So I think Billy Q is hungry as fuck, and Yusuf Zalal needs this opportunity. And if he's smart, he's going to make the most of it. I think that's got potential to be a great fucking matchup tomorrow night as well.
I love that you threw that one out there. I threw that on my notes, but before we started the show, I scratched it out because I was like, this is just kind of I don't know if the guys would fucking really agree with this one. It's just because Billy Q's been back and forth, but I do think the dude's got a hell of a lot of potential, and I liked Zalal, even though he fucking had a tough run there at the end, got the boot.
He came a little green. He got a little headstrong about himself.
Yeah, he's still young. He's still really
that's
fucking
what I'm saying. He's young enough to have learned from that.
That's a good one. So what's your contender?
My contender here, my Schrodinger's contender, because this fight could potentially either be fight of the night out of nowhere or literally what? Sleep inducing. Either way, but there's no way to tell till the fight starts. Ricardo Ramos versus Julian Erosa. Both of the dudes got more hype than they deserved coming in. Both of them had a little bit of a run and faltered, and then came back and then faltered. And both of them are literally on, I believe, the last contract. I know Julian's on the last of his contract. I think Ricardo is on the last of his or the next to last. They're both either on their last or about to be done. And I don't think either one of them are getting re-signed. So this is literally their chance to essentially audition themselves to any potential other organization, PFL, that will be picking them up if they get released or not re-signed with the UFC. So they have to, one way or another, put on a good performance here, or at least as good as they're capable of. Either we're going to get a real boring 15 fucking minutes and both of them are going to deserve the walking papers they get, or we might get some fucking action here from two dudes who know that they are quite literally fighting for their career, be it in the UFC or otherwise, that this performance is what people are going to remember them by. That puts a little what if in the match for me.
Nice. I mean, it was a little surprising. I did put that as a can fight, but yeah, can tender definitely makes sense because, like I did mention in talking about them as the cans, they both do have a lot of fucking finishes in their career. They could go out there and throw down. I'm here for that. I want exciting fights. God damn it! I don't want to slog the 300 here, and the UFC's shitting a bet on the promotion for that. They shit the bet on the main event. They've shit the bet on a lot of that. We know it's going to be a decent pay per view, but it may not live up to being better than 299 was. Come on now. These guys need to perform. We know we don't have the best shit on paper, but they're fighters. God damn it. Go out there and try to kill each other for our entertainment. That's all I ask for.
I agree. I agree.
Hell yeah. This is good shit. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So normally this would be the point in the podcast where we let TJ do his thing, but since he's not here, we're gonna do a little differently. So at this point, most podcasts you would be watching would be running some bullshit B-roll with some fucking product that no one on the show uses, and they don't actually follow the podcast themselves. They're just looking for their own exposure, and we don't play that way around here. If you like what we get up to around here and you want to help us, the easiest way to do that, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name and the end of every broadcast on this channel as a thank you, as well as unrestricted access to unaired and unairable behind the scenes content. Things that I am not kidding were literally too much for OnlyFans. We stick them over on Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you get access to them, and it helps us do what we do around here. That being said, this will bring us to the segment that requires its own individual disclaimer for the show. So Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form support, sponsor, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology does offer you the option to go onto their website and create a free account to make fantasy-style MMA picks. You can even make groups on that website. So we did. It's called I'm No Bookie, all one word, or group 965. However you need to search it, it is open to the public. You are encouraged and welcome to make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the fuck you are so we can hold your picks accountable with our picks every week like we do in a little segment that we're calling Tapology with the Meter. So, this week in the game, the Grand Prix, I'm No Joe, first quarter face-off here. Hell of a match last week. Hell of a match. Very close all the way down. Coming out on top for the first time in a long time, Don himself, with an ironic score of 420, wins the day. Props to Don. Well done. Been a minute since that name was read up at the top. Very, very close. Very close battle. And he literally, like you see over there, won by 5 points. Christian was at 415 right fucking behind him. Ever so close. And Don just pulled it out at the last minute here. Or excuse me, not Christian. Vinny. The
Yeah,
other
not my ass. It was Vin
Yeah.
Dog. My ass
Yeah,
blew the
I was looking
fucking
at the wrong
shit
set of notes
up.
here. Yeah, Vinny was right behind Don at
I was the
415.
one that tripped over some dick this past week.
Yeah. So middle of the pack rolled middle of the pack, and then obviously that leads us down to the man who just stomped all over his genitalia to make it authoritative last week. Christian stepped on his dick with both feet and started doing a little Irish jig for St. Patrick's Day. It was not pretty. It was rough. But I will say it's nice to see Vinny taking a break off his for a week. So sometimes that's the way it be. That being said, the way things stand as of right now in the I'm No Joe Spring Grand Prix, Donna is still at the top, 3,330 points. TJ is right behind her at 3,115, just 115 down. Christian is just behind TJ with 3,050. I am right below Christian at 2,955. Don's a little further down at 2760, and that Vinny is down there playing double dutch with his dong at 2505. But we've still got a couple weeks left in this, and the playoffs are still ahead of us. So with a good pick for somebody and bad picks for others, this could still absolutely turn completely on its fucking head. Don won last week. I mean, who saw that coming? So it's still anybody's game at this point. And if you would like to potentially get yourself into the summer Grand Prix for the I'm No Joe, you've got to let us know who the fuck you are on Tapology before UFC 300, because we're going to be starting the summer Grand Prix before 301, but those weeks in between 300 and 301 are when this all gets put together. Take advantage now. Let us know who the fuck you are. Make your account, join the group. This is fun shit. Not to mention, we get numbers to back up the shit that we talk. That being said, this week's card has some very predictable odds, I think is the best way to put that. I'm not TJ. I don't use MGM. That site doesn't like me. They can eat my ass. I use DraftKings because that's the easiest one for me to find. DraftKings Sports, according to this weekend's odds, and most places that I did see, have pretty much every single fight on this card, top to bottom, as a coin flip. There are two sets of odds on this whole card that stood out in the least bit to me worth talking about here that I feel like TJ would probably have latched onto as well. The first one is the closest odds, because most of them are literally coin flip, and there's one that is razor thin close. Where'd it go? Here we go. You may or may not be surprised based on what I said earlier. Billy Q versus Yusuf Zalal. Yusuf Zalal is a minus 115. Billy Q is a minus 105. It is almost literally dead even across the board in terms of Vegas on that fight. Even they don't know how the fuck that one's going to play out. So, but they're both considered the favorite. Neither one of them are the underdog going into the fight as far as Vegas is concerned. Even Vegas thinks I might be on a little something here. The other one that I want to talk about here is the widest odds on the card. And I say the term widest odds very loosely because there is no fight on this card, period, that has more than a minus 190 to a plus 190. None of them. There are no fights with minus or plus 200. They are all under 200 on both sides for every fight on the whole fucking card, top to bottom. The widest odds that are showing on DraftKings are actually in the main event. Amanda Hebus, according to DraftKings right now, is the plus 164 underdog to Rose Namajunas' minus 198 favorite. Minus 198 to plus 164 are the widest fucking odds that Vegas has on an entire card. If you're not a gambler, what that means is that your only hope to make any money this weekend is to stack together a real solid parlay. And with these fights, good luck. Some of these are pick'ems for a reason, because nobody knows how the fuck they're going to shake out. There is not a lot of certainty on this weekend's UFC card. So if you're going to try and make some money, I would definitely say parlays are going to be your friend this weekend. That being said, though, there really is not a lot to get terribly excited about on this UFC card. Like we talked about, there is a lot of potential. I believe they said earlier on MMA Fighting, 14 of the 22 people participating in Saturday's card are former Ultimate Fighter or Contender Series, or in the case of some of them, both. Julian Erosa was on Ultimate Fighter and Contender Series, and I believe Cody Gibson was as well. There's a lot of people who have literally worked their way through the ranks here, so there's going to be a lot of green fighters here, but that doesn't always make for bad fights. That just means there's a lot of unknowns, which is exactly what Vegas just confirmed for us here. But that being said, there are lots of fights this weekend to watch, so I encourage you to get out there and watch them. That is all we have got for this particular episode, though. So if you like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, thank you for sticking around. We do this pretty much every week. There are fights to talk about. Usually it's on Thursday night. This week it's on Friday night, but you can catch us live when the show goes, you can catch us over on youtube.com/@I'mNoJoe whenever the show goes live for the video version of it. And if you can't or don't have the option to make it over there, the show goes live a week later in the all audio version at anchor.fm/I'mNoJoe. You can pick that up on your podcast consumption platform of choice, Google, Spotify, Apple, we're all over. And it's all free. You can pick it all up wherever you like. Just make sure you are subscribed, your notifications are turned on so you don't miss an episode. And if you dig it, we appreciate a thumbs up. On the other side of that coin, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give it a thumbs down, and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. That being said, when we wrap things up around here on Thursday nights, that's not the end of the week, because Friday mornings, much like this morning, that fella right there and his other half kick out their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, over on Spreaker. Links to that and all their social media, as well as their very own channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, are down below. As always, do not forget to check out those boys.
Appreciate you, brother. The fun never fucking stops. Once you get back to hump day, the best day of the fucking week, you got to tune in to Brother Golf T Vape's fucking, show, Foggy Fairway, around 9:30 every Wednesday night, about the same time we do our show on Thursday nights normally. They had to move it to Friday this week. Yeah, it's always fun to do sometimes. But you got to make sure you tune in. Give the brother some love. All the Golf Tees links should be down below. Even though the brother wasn't here, make sure you show him some love. Tune into his fucking show, especially if you're into vapes. You can always get some fun mixes and recipes and just have a good fucking time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. And if you didn't know, I don't just go by the meter. My name is The Meter Does Many Things for a reason. I am always up to something. I've always got an iron in the fire, and there's always something cooking in the kettle. If you're interested in any of the shenanigans and the shit talking and all the craziness that I get up to, there are 2 links down in the description that you can use for me. One is Linktree/The Meter. I think it's The Meter Does Many Things. The other one is Linktree/I'm No Joe. The Meter Does Many Things link will show you all of my personal nonsense. The I'm No Joe link obviously will show you all things show related. Either way, feel free to check them out at your leisure. That being said, that is all we have got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless it's House Harkonnen. Fuck those bastards.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what